Hi there, I'm Elaine. I'm a director in the Advisory and Transactions practice at TCAM. And today I'm going to talk specifically about asset management in public and affordable housing. So as we talked about in an earlier video, there are a couple of dimensions of asset management, including financial and physical. In public and affordable housing, there's a third dimension, compliance. You can have a property that has pretty good financial and physical performance that still is open to some problems if you have non-compliance, if you have issues with compliance. As with any type of asset, the real core question you're asking is, did this property do what we hoped it would do? Did it do what we expected it to do? So in compliance, you're going to ask questions like, is this property actually meeting the housing program requirements, typically that are going to come from HUD or the IRS? Is the property meeting the housing program requirements that we had agreed to? Is it meeting all its commitments that we made to lenders and investors when we got into this piece of real estate? Are we exposed to risk? And that risk can come from things like the condition of the building, the behavior of the staff, the eligibility of the tenants that live there. Are we exposed to risks? And finally, a key question to ask is this population in this property what we had wanted to serve? Are we serving the people that we set out to serve? So again, a whole other dimension of asset management in the compliance world. In public and affordable housing, and specifically in the LIHTC world, the low-income housing tax credit world, you're often going to have an investor, you might have a lender, there's almost always going to be a developer partner, and each of those stakeholders want something different. They're looking at different things in their asset management. So for the lender, you made a loan and you expected it to be repaid on a certain schedule. Did that happen? For the investor, you were promised tax credit delivery on a certain schedule. Did that happen? Did you get it when it was expected? Was it late? For the developer, the owner, you underwrote some amount of cash flow from the beginning. Did you get what you expected? Another aspect of public and affordable asset management that doesn't really come up in other types of real estate is the big role played by soft debt. These are types of debt where payment is only owed depending on there being cash flow at the end of a given year of operations. And a good affordable housing asset manager has a really deep understanding of that soft debt, of the rules associated with it, if there's extra compliance obligations that came with that soft debt, and what's driving the need for repayment so that they can make adjustments during the year to make sure that the payment isn't any more than it needs to be, but that it's fair. In the public housing world, the shift from the public housing model to the RAD model of public-private partnership has meant that there's sort of a new dimension of asset management expectations. Because these assets that used to be really publicly owned now have private ownership, which means there is both the opportunity for financial exposures and loss, risk of loss, but also there's some opportunity for upside. There's opportunity for unrestricted cash flow and gains in value. So really, a whole different dimension of property operations and property monitoring than was ever the case before. TCAM doesn't only work in the public and affordable space, but it's certainly where our deepest roots are. So always please feel free to reach out with any questions that you may have. And we will join you on another Whiteboard Wednesday.